Well, the singles tax is the term to characterize the financial burden that single people face due to a lack of cost-sharing benefits that come with living with a partner or family. That's the focus of the new book called, aptly, The Singles Tax, coming out today. Here to talk more about what the single tax is, how to navigate finances as a single person, and how she thinks the tax code could be changed to be more friendly to single people, is the author, Renee Sylvestre-Williams. Renee, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How big is the singles tax or the single tax? Have you been able to kind of put a number on it?
No, there's no specific number to it. But if you think about how many single Canadians there are, I think the number would be quite big, right? I believe the number is almost 15 million Canadians identify as single, according to the last census. So that's a lot of money.
And so why do we see breaks going for families and not as many available for single people?
Well, keep in mind that the society that we live in does benefit couples, right? So the tax regime, everybody files individually, but couples benefit from it. There's income sharing, spousal RSP support, and all of those things. So if you are single, you do not benefit from that.
And are there any benefits for single? Is there any benefits to being single?
I mean, there are the standard, maximize your tax deductions, medical expenses, maximize your RSPs if you can. But, we can't split income.
And what about when it comes to investing? How do you approach investing if you're single?
Well, if you're approaching investing, there's obviously, the earlier you do it, the better, obviously, because, it's time in the market, not timing the market. And then also making sure that you are planning for your short, medium, and long term. So in the book, I advocate for having a team of experts who can help you with this. So it might be a case of maybe you need a slightly bigger emergency fund. You might need more liquidity for things that you need. And then you might need more downside protection as you get closer to retirement to protect your investments. And then, there was a recent opinion piece in the Globe and Mail that I am completely aligned with, where one of the suggestions were if you are fortunate to be a single person who has quite a lot of investments or quite a big retirement fund, perhaps reducing the yearly withdrawal limit on your RIFs could be an option.
Renee, did your research identify that there were geographical disparities in the prevalence of single people and the size of the singles tax or the financial disincentives for being single? For instance, is there an urban versus rural split or anything else of regional note that you think would be interesting to share?
I didn't find any data on an urban and regional split, unfortunately, but you can possibly operate on the assumption that people tend to move to more urban spaces, obviously for the start of their career. Tends to be where the businesses are. So while I couldn't really find information on that, we do know most Canadians tend to live in more urban areas.
Or maybe a corollary or follow-up question, if I may, is there anything demographically, like by age strata? For instance, does the single tax compound with time the longer someone stays single? And does the data indicate that people are purposefully and deliberately staying single lifelong, or are they just delaying marriages or coupling up as they pursue higher education and kickstarting their careers?
That's a great question. So I'll answer the delaying part. Yes, there are indications that people are delaying marriage. They're probably looking more into cohabiting, apologies. And also there is a movement around younger generations to, stay single longer, understand who they are as single people. Now, in terms of, I'm sorry, could you just repeat the first half of your question?
Just wondering if there was any evidence that the singles tax, is larger in older or younger cohorts, or if it compounds and grows larger over time the longer someone remains single.
It can compound the longer that you remain single, because you have to consider the fact that there's also outside forces such as, caregiving, for example. That is a billion-dollar industry, unpaid industry in Canada, right? So if you are single and you are caregiving, say, for a family member, an older family member who is ill, you might be out of the market longer. So that is reduced income, which means reduced money that you can put towards retirement, right? Which means possibly you could end up with lower RSP, lower RIFs, lower retirement fund, lower income because you're not working, and you could possibly be missing out on promotions. You could be missing out on raises. So there are a lot of external factors that can compound the longer you remain single. Plus, you don't. If we are in, we're sort of in an area now where there's possible job loss due to things like AI and sort of how the economy is looking. And when you are single, even if you have an emergency fund and have access to EI, you also don't have that second income to fall back on. So there's that anxiety that comes with it as well.
All right, just one last question. What made you write the book, and would you like the government to read it?
Okay, yes, I would love the government to read it. So you know where I am. The books are available now. If anybody in the government is looking at this, please read the book. What made me read it? Okay, so it was 2020. We know what was going on at the time. I had some time to myself because it was 2020, and I am single, and I was thinking about all of these questions. So I started a newsletter 5 years ago, The Budget, which addressed these questions because I figured if I had these questions, other people would. And as a result of that, almost 6 years later, there's the book, The Singles Tax.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, but Renee, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Renee Sylvestre-Williams is the author of The Singles Tax.